Hey Deb, how are you doing today?
Hey Jeff, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining me.
Good. Yeah,
So,
thanks for having me.
yeah, definitely. So today we're talking about non-USPAP evaluations. Let's start off with that. What is a non-USPAP eval?
It's to kind of provide an oversimplified definition. It's like appraisal light. It's an alternative valuation service that was kind of created, defined by the interagency guidelines in 2010 as an alternative for lenders to use um, for certain low risk transactions that there was a possibility that they could be granted an exemption from the appraisal requirements.
And do you find that how many states, what's the breakdown of states that allow non-USPAP evals?
So it's a tough question to answer because we've got 50 different states with 50 different versions of interpretations of the law. Um, I would say at this point we are confident that there are about 30 that do allow that are pretty clear about allowing non-USPAP evaluations to be prepared either by appraisers in about 11 states that allow appraisers to take their appraiser hat off and write this non-USPAP valuation report. And the rest of them will allow non-appraisers to write these non-USPAP evals, but still do not allow appraisers to write anything but a USPAP compliant report.
Do you find that there's an opportunity for appraisers to do non-USPAP evals?
Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity here. We know of a number of appraisers that have gone that route, that have started offering non-USPAP evaluations. Some of them have, gone exclusively to that. They prefer that the liability risk is less. These reports can be written very quickly, and so they found it to be preferable to writing full appraisals. But for the most part, what we're seeing is that appraisers are not finding that they're able to really do better by their business if by switching from writing appraisals to writing non-USPAP evaluations. And here's where we feel like we can really add something different to the business model for appraisal firms. Is that what we like to promote is the model that we here at my own appraisal firm based in Wyoming started doing back in 2018, which is where we hired non-appraiser analysts that we trained and gave access to our comparable sales database. We taught them about the market, and we made ourselves available to give them, to help them out with the local market expertise. What kind of building is that? How does it compete? What are the different aspects that you want to look at that can drive value? Things like sidewall height in an industrial building. These are things that we just take for granted, as everybody knows. But when you've got a non-appraiser analyst that's coming in as pretty green, they're not going to have any way of understanding that. So we brought in these non-appraisers, we trained them here, gave them access to all of our local data and expertise, and then we started providing our existing appraisal clients with these non-USPAP evaluations that we were able to provide at a far lower rate and at a way faster turn time. And our clients were coming back saying, these are so much better than what we're getting from everyone else. And they were either getting them in-house by having their own bank employees writing them, which can be kind of hit or miss. Sometimes banks find success with that, a lot of times they don't. Or they were using these large third-party providers that didn't have anyone on the ground here, didn't have an appraiser certainly on the ground here in Wyoming. And instead what they were doing was they were relying on local real estate agents, and that's kind of anywhere in the state, to snap a few photos of the building and send them 3 sales that they pulled from the MLS. What they were kind of ending up with, though, was this mixed bag. A lot of the realtors that they were employing to send these sales were residential. and they were trying to send them commercial comps. And there was a lot of that happening. I think there still is a lot of that happening. And so despite their best efforts, these evals were just not able to be completed to a really high quality compared to ours, which is where, you know, they were grounded in an appraisal firm with data provided by us. And so when we started with one client in 2018, next thing you know, we had 16. And our clients started asking us if we could provide these in any other states, which we couldn't because I don't have any data for any of the states other than the ones that we actually do appraisals in. But between that and the feedback that we were getting from other appraisers who were really curious about what we were doing and how we've been able to find this success, we started to think, you know, maybe we're onto something. Maybe if we can package this in such a way, if we can kind of work the model so that we can bring on other appraisal firms to act as we have by providing this local market data and expertise to our own trained analysts. And we can start offering these all across the country. And so that's how we eventually came up with eval.com. It's been about 1.5 years that we've been building the model and kind of getting it all perfected. And we just launched here not too terribly long ago. And so far the response has been terrific.
Great.
So, yeah.
So I know a lot of commercial fee appraisers kind of struggle with the concept of even USPAP compliant evals, which for many it's restricted in the form of, I know just my experience having my own software company and having comp database, report writing, that you can't automate the evaluation, that on an hourly basis, it's actually more lucrative than standard appraisal formats. But a lot of appraisers don't believe that. So when you get to non-USPAP and just big round numbers, in my market, a normal eval might be $1,000, goes up and down a couple $100 if you do one approach, two approach, generally speaking. What do you find in the general pricing for a non-USPAP eval? And is it one approach, two approach? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, at this point, we have basically one pricing structure everywhere that we operate. And the average residential fee is about $250, give or take. That depends on, again, you know, that includes one approach, an exterior inspection that we take care of. There are options to make it a little more, make it a little less. The average commercial eval starts at about $550 and goes up from there, depending on, again, that's one approach. If a second approach is requested, that's a bit of an extra fee. If they want an interior inspection, that's extra. And then as the property gets more complex, if it's, if it's a ranch, farm, something that just has, has more to be considered, multiple buildings, things like that. But typically our fees range from $550 to about $850. That's about the average.
Okay, great. And on the bank side, if I was a chief appraiser, how would I view your service? Sounds like I'd be excited that is it being monitored by an appraiser, that you're training these folks to do it properly? Is that the upside? It's a much better product than what they're currently getting?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So our platform is the only one out there today that actually brings appraisers together with analysts to provide lenders with a better quality evaluation. On the one hand, the analysts are being better trained because they're being trained by appraisers. So, and that's, I should clarify, we're not teaching them how to be appraisers. Evals are not appraisals. They're really quite superficial. They're high level, very, very basic. We don't get super granular. We don't do discounted cash flows. We don't do, looking forward and rent escalations and tenant improvements and all of that kind of stuff. That lives outside the expertise of these analysts. But we do teach them, like I said, like I used in the industrial building example, what are the kind of specific elements of value that you guys need to be considering when you're looking at these properties? How do you select the best comparables that you can? What are the things that you need to look for? What are the things that you need to adjust for? All of those types of things. So the analysts are being much better trained. Then the other side of that is that when we engage during the process with the local like boots on the ground appraisal firm in that area, that simply the quality of data that is being sent back to our analysts for them to sort through and select the comps and read the feedback from the appraiser about market trends, about what is happening with that particular building type in the market that they're doing the eval on, that our analysts are able to take those better resources. And just when you've got better materials, you can build a better house. So between those two things, what we're able to turn over to our clients is something that we've been able to maintain, a very efficient process so that we can still turn them around really, really quick. We work from, between 5 and 7 business days right now. And we're able to still compete with the other non-USPAP vendors that are out there that are using the other models that I explained as well. So we certainly stand by our statement, our belief that we do provide the highest quality evaluations in the industry, and the feedback that we've been getting from our clients definitely confirms that.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing in more of an entrepreneurial spirit to our vertical market of commercial appraising. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Deb.